Hello everybody, it's Craig Barr again, bringing you another edition of Mastering the Middle Game. Now the first thing I want to tell you guys is that the opening and the middle game are they're connected, Because when you start developing your pieces in the opening, that's going to be the beginning of your middle game plan. So the opening and the middle game, especially the transition, is very closely related. Now, in today's lesson, we're going to be focusing on the big mistakes that I see you guys making. Because when I play chess on the internet, I often do play C and D players, and sometimes beginners. And the first thing I see is that a lot of you are not getting out of the opening alive. That means that you're making you're falling into traps in the opening. And the way to remedy that is to learn your book openings, the first 5 moves. And that way you can avoid getting into trouble in the opening. The other thing that I see is that sometimes it's disastrous to castle too early because you may be castling into an attack. And that's what happens in our first game. Now, a second big mistake I see people making is you're creating too many holes, okay? See where the red is? These are holes that are in the position. To me, this is Swiss cheese. You got holes, holes, holes all over the place. There's no need for that, okay? A hole is like a place where it's vacant and you're not protecting it with pawn. See, the minute that this pawn comes back here, you don't have creation of this hole anymore. Sometimes when you play a move like that, you are creating a hole, which is a place where I can put my knight or my bishop or any piece I could put into this hole, and if I did put my knight in here or my bishop in here, we would have excellent attacking chances. So the third thing that we're going to be looking at is the discovered check. The discovered check arises when I have a position like this and it's white's move. Here, this is going to be deadly because I can discover here. See, we have a double check with the knight and the queen, and it's already checkmate because the king has to move. King can't go here. King cannot go here. King cannot go here. So this is checkmate. That's the power of the discovered check.
Call from Curto, very late. Call from
in our first game,
very late.
I'm playing a C player named Sam,
Curto, very late.
And we'll see how he gets into trouble because he creates too many weak squares. I open with D4, E6. Now it looks like we're headed toward French. But now he comes up with a move that's not really in the book. This is not a standard move. So I look at it as kind of a mistake because he's playing in Alekines, but with E6 instead of D6. And let me tell you something, d6 is the better move, because now I can simply start attacking the knight. The knight has to move, and then I can keep kicking the knight to around the board. Now in the Alkine's defense, knight b6 is the best move. Here he played here, and this is a lemon, because you're blocking the development of your queen, and you're blocking the development of your bishop. So I figured, well, the knight is going to have to reroute, come out again, so I'm all ready for that. So I play this move, h4. Now this looks kind of weird to a lot of you. How come I'm not developing my pieces? Because I'm anticipating the knight coming out. Greetings! And then if the knight does come out, I'm going to greet him with a punt. And then he's going to be knocked back to where he was before. So that's the purpose of this move h4, which is an advanced move, I'll give you that much. So to prevent that, he's playing h5, but now this gives me the opportunity to now create weak squares. See, so I attack the pawn, he has to defend the pawn, and now look at the holes opening up here. So that I did that to create this hole, and now my bishop is ready to occupy a very nice hole. I'd love to get my knight in there, checkmate, but it's going to take a while. Knight here, and then knight here, and then knight here. He really should cover up the hole with bishop g7. Instead, what my opponent does is he creates more weaknesses. Remember I told you how you don't want to create all this these holes, because I'm going to exploit those holes. As soon as I get my knight here, the game will practically be over. Knight c3, see, I'm heading right over here. Now he should play d5 to prevent that. But if he does play d5, I'm still going to be able to take en passant, queen d6, and then still get my knight into dangerous attacking territory. So now he tries to attack. Now the opening books tell you, hey, don't bring your queen out too early. And this is a case of that. Now I'm just ignoring that. I don't care if you take that pawn, I'm going to come and get you. So if he takes the pawn, let's say he takes this pawn, he's going to get in serious trouble. In fact, he's going to lose his rook, because look what I have. I have knight check here. King has to move here, and then I'm going to fork his king and his rook. So you cannot go down here. This is called a poisoned pawn. This is a poisoned pawn. But he's still in big trouble. So he comes out here. Okay, he's covering that one, but he forgot about this one. Now this is called a discovered check, because the king has to move. And then now I'm going to win the queen. See, this is check. King has to move, and then I simply capture the queen, and black resigns here. So this kind of illustrates the danger of creating too many holes right around your king's position. Now in this next game, my opponent is another C player, rated 1580, but he too commits some errors which don't appear at first glance to be that serious, but at the higher levels these type of mistakes are quite serious. So anyway, I had white. I played d4, d5, c4. Queen's Gambit is one of White's best openings. He decides to take the Gambit pawn. Now I could recover the pawn if I want, but I decided to play knight f3. And now this is kind of a lemon because it allows me to get the full pawn center going. The better move is knight f6, developing and preventing e4. In most of these queen pawn openings, it's a battle over whether I can get an e4. Now this looks okay on the surface, he's just simply developing, but in reality, Black has already given White a clear advantage, which at the higher levels is actually fatal. Because with this nice pawn center, I'm going to attack, remove the defender. This is a key defender of the king. So he has to go here. And now he's threatening knight takes knight, so I defend that. And now this is kind of a lemon because now I'm gaining a tempo on the bishop. Bishop has to go back here. And now we see you have a problem piece. That bishop is bad. So castles is okay, but I wanted to see if Black is going to castle, because I may need the rook on the file. So if I castle, the rook ends up here, and the rook has no more way to really get develop into the attack. So this is what I was hoping for. He castles, but it's not safe at all. This is not safe because I have this piece, this piece, this piece, and potentially this piece all ready to attack, and I'm going to try to get the rook into the attack. Whereas this piece is completely dormant, will never get into the game. If this doesn't get into the game, this isn't going to get into the game. This is a very poor defensive piece, and he's going to probably have to play f5 in order to shut down the attack, because this bishop is coming. So I'm going to get the bishop and the queen lined up, creating weaknesses, and these weaknesses will be fatal. So I start out h4. Now this is a good one for you to learn. White does not want to castle here, because if you castle, then the rook ends up on a square which is not participating in the attack. Here the rook has all kinds of possibilities of attacking. See, we would like to have this file open, wouldn't we? This would be great. We just play rook g1. Here we don't have a file, so we attack, and here's our file. See? This is a very good one for you to learn. h6 is not good. It creates a target now. He really should be thinking about f5 to try to shut down the attack somehow. But this creates a target for me to sacrifice. So here I have two ways to proceed. This is a good way. Just pop this open. Pop it open. Because, see, I don't need to castle. The center's closed. My king's not under attack, but his king is a direct target. I can just go straight, boom, boom, for the throat here. But I decided to just attack with my pieces, and this is good. Now, you see, he's not really, he's just, what he's doing is he's strengthening my attack, because now the bishop, both bishops have a deadly, and see, he should be hitting back c5, trying to, challenge the center. Instead, he moves back, and this is quite fatal. Now I just take this. See, I just sack. I sack the piece. And now what would happen if he captures it? Well, if he captures it, I have rook check. Has to go to the corner. I play queen d2, And there's no way to prevent mate except by bishop g5, and then his king is completely exposed. So he realizes he can't take the bishop. So he goes here, and now I simply keep capturing. And he must be saying, what the heck is this guy doing? Well, I'll show you what I'm doing. Okay, check. He has to go back, right? And now, what's the correct move? This move mates quickly, and since there's no way to prevent mate by queen h5, black resigns. And thanks for watching.